Hello, good evening. Right, this is a super exciting launch. This is the Autumn Part 2 collection by Tracy Evans. Good evening,
everybody. Hi, Alex.
Lovely to see you. Lovely to be working with you again.
Yes, it's lovely to be here again. It doesn't feel like that long ago, actually, to be honest.
Well, we saw each other, didn't we? We worked with each other just for a snippet, and then, you know, but it's lovely to have your company. So, would you like to tell us a bit about the inspiration behind the one-day special? I will just say to you as well, there is a complete collection, so you might want to get ahead. But I just wanted to find out your thoughts about the one-day special.
I mean, the part 1 and part 2 were actually designed at the same time. So what happens is when you design stamps, you don't just do, I don't do like a small amount, I do like a big amount of stamps in one sitting.
Yes.
And the idea for that is that then they all work together. I say this every time when I come on the show, that, you know, the ethos is that they will all work together throughout the range. But when I created part 1 and part 2, it's important that you know that they're designed at the same time. And therefore there's the same feel about them, and that's why they work so well together. So part 2, as always, is inspired by nature, but this time I absolutely love the mix of sizes. So for me, we've got really strong focal image on the A4.
Should we show that one?
Yeah, and I love the clocks. And I think what's good about the clocks is you can use that with any stamp. So if you wanted to make a masculine card, which I'll show you a journal page, but if you wanted to make a masculine card, you could use the clocks in a masculine way. Or you could use them in a feminine way. You could also use them for New Year as well. So the idea is that it's adaptable. But obviously I like my flowers. That's what I'm, you know, my style is. I love nature, I love layers. And I like to stick to my style, but try to sort of up the level each time so that I don't get too predictable. And I always add a little bit extra in there, you know, just so that you can finish off things. And I adore this one.
Yes, I love the keys. I love look how scruffy our hedgehog is. I like him.
It had to be a scruffy hedgehog.
Yes.
And the reason there's a hedgehog and a squirrel is that I listened to my followers who requested a hedgehog and a squirrel. To be honest, I would also like a really tiny one, so maybe that'll come. I'd like a really, really tiny one, just to add little detail. So I might have to think about that one as well.
I tell you what, so we'll look at these two. I'm going to give you the detail, because I tell you why the complete's getting really busy. And then we can come back and chat about the rest, if that's all right. Lovely. So with your one-day special, you've got that lovely £5 saving on the stamps. So you've got all of these stamps. So we'll come back to these stamps in a second because they are absolutely beautiful. So you've got that £5 saving there. You can spread the cost two flexi buys. Come on, Alex, get it together. 2 flexi buys of £23 and some change. But you've got £33 and some change, and you've got that £5 saving that carries over. Okay, then you have got these stencils. These are also brand new. So we've got here, it's all about the pluses and the crosses, isn't it?
Yes, and you need to ask Janet Pring what she actually called the pluses, because she didn't call them pluses. Just think about taking out the L.
Yes.
She didn't call them pluses.
Everybody's chuckling in the studio right now.
Sorry, I had to get that in.
Oh, no. Oh, well, I thought it was really funny. So you'll go for it, Tracy.
So what you'll find with Abs is he likes generic shapes.
Yes.
But the reason I think, you know, I'm talking on behalf of Abs, but I think he goes for them because he likes them to be able to be used across the whole range. So that means with Janet Klein's, with Bipasha's and with mine. He doesn't want them to just be used with one person's range. And I think that's what's good about Absy's stencils. And I love using stencils and mixing them with the layers and adding layers. And if you don't like adding layers, you can use the stencils on their own.
Absolutely.
They don't always have to be used with the stamps.
Nice, there we go. So here we go. Now you've got your stencils, you've got your 4 stencils. Now you're also getting the 2 stamps. So you've got your A4 stencils, your 6x6. Have I got that right, Tracy?
That's it, yes.
Excellent stencils at the bottom. And there you can see there's the pluses and the crosses at the side, either side, and there your stamps. You've got a £5 saving there. Now let's go to the complete collection, because that £5 saving and that £5 saving all carries over, so that's £10 so far. Plus, now in the complete collection, not only are you getting what you've just seen so far, the stamps and the stencils and the other stamps there, you've also got the acrylic blocks. So here you've got your A5 and your A7, so they're a little addition for the complete collection. And then there's a further £13 off. So that's £23 in total when you look at it that way. And it's also on 3 flexi buy payments, which is awesome. So that's 3 payments of £38.95. And guess what, Tracy? Already already 10% of the complete
brilliant.
collection gone. So thank you very much already for purchasing. So I'll just go back to our lovely stamps. So let's have a look at these beautiful stamps.
So you've got the violet.
Yes, it's not upside down.
I wanted a flower that was a little bit more delicate. I was actually thinking about people who sort of stamp and create like Janet does, in a more clean, pared back look. And this delicate flower works perfectly for that. But the days of the week are so that you can create your own garden calendars. Yeah. So if you want to give gifts, you can add them, or if you like your journals, you can add the days of the week. You can also add the days of the week as a background as well.
Lovely.
So they work really nicely.
Then we've got to talk about the penguins.
Now, I love the penguins, and I don't want you to think about the penguins as just for winter, just penguins. Yes. Think about them for Valentine's. You've just got to put them opposite each other, put a heart in the middle, and you've got a Valentine's card.
Oh, I love
so again, it's thinking about moving forward and not always thinking about just the few weeks ahead. It's thinking a lot further than that. And I wanted some sort of characters that will also work with the clock images, because you could have winter time as your sentiment, and you could just combine those perfectly with those clocks as well.
Yeah, lovely. And we've got one more here. Tell us about this lovely little A7 stamp.
Now, this works beautifully on the gel plate. If you stamp that on the gel plate, it works beautifully, and it'll give you a subtle background, but on its own, it works as a background purely on its own, stamped in a colour, and you could just add a sentiment. Yes. It doesn't have to have a focal image with it, but it works beautifully on the gel press. Amazing.
Now, let me tell you, for this complete collection, we are so super busy. We are almost 20% of the stock gone in just 6 minutes. Now, the phone lines are on fire. Please do check out, if you can, at thecraftstore.com. I'm just going to dip down here because we have some samples, which I've got to show you because they are just amazing. Oh, God, I'm going straight for this one.
I knew you would.
Everybody knows my taste. Look at this. How cute is this?
But that shows you that Joe's taken that as a decoration, but if you sort of change the colour slightly in the background, again, you could make it a Valentine's thing. You could stick it on the card and make it a Valentine's.
There you go. And then, so do you know who did this one? Oh, it's Joe Rice, wasn't it?
That was Joe Rice.
This one is Joe Elliott.
This is Joe Elliott. And Joe colours beautifully. And you may look at that and think it's simple, but when you actually see the card in real life, it's got beautiful dimension and exquisite colouring.
It has,
and that shows the stamp perfectly how I designed it.
Nice. And this one is by Janet, and she's using the pluses and pluses there.
Yes, that's the pluses that she can't get the name right.
We're just going to leave you to guess at home. That's all I'm saying. This one is by Joe Elliott as well. There we go. So look at that. That's just so pretty, isn't it? I like her stamp background
too. But imagine if you were just having a newborn, and you could use the little penguins as a new arrival. So you just have to think outside the box.
Absolutely. And then we've got this one by Debbie. Oh, that's beautiful.
You see, and this looks like gel plate work.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, and look at that background stamp. Doesn't it look beautiful? I love the background stamp.
Very clean and elegant, that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
This one is by Philippa. Oh, she's gone to town here. And I like the way she breaks all the words up as well.
Yes, and I like it because Philippa's style is completely different to everybody else's style.
Yes.
So it shows you how to use the stamps in lots of different ways.
Nice. This next one is by Debbie Martin. There you go. Oh, there's a whole family of them.
But if you were having an invitation or a party, you could put invitation across the top, and it would be a party invitation.
Love that. And that could be New Year's, actually.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just thinking outside the box with your stamps.
And then this one is by Philippa.
Now, this image was inspired by my garden. You actually get these when they go to seed. In other words, when they're not flowering and they're orange, they actually go to like a skeleton leaf kind of effect.
I see.
And they're absolutely gorgeous. They're
beautiful.
Gorgeous.
I'll do one more then. This one is by Debbie Martin as well. Absolutely beautiful. Wow. And that really, because of the colourful background and then the softer colours, it just, bam, it's beautiful.
But that's what's the best thing about the design team, because they have nobody telling them what direction to go into. They receive the stamps, just like we do, and they have to come up with their inspiration themselves. They don't get somebody giving them the inspiration. They have to think of the designs themselves, which in some ways is harder.
Absolutely.
But then it proves that the stamps inspire, which is good.
Thank you, Tracy. So I'll just give the details one more time then. So on screen, you've got the complete collection. You'll get all of these fabulous new today stamps. So you've got, I mean, just look at that. In the stamp collection, you have got your Clocks and Flowers, Key Botanicals, Violet, Frosty, Penguin and Falling Blossom. That's there. Remember, for the one-day special itself, £5 carries over. Then, still going as part of the complete collection though, coming over to our other stencils, so our pluses. I'm going to have to think about this now. Pluses and crosses. So you're getting the A4 and then the 6x6, and then either side of the stencils, you've got those stamps. And then also, as a little bit of a Brucey bonus, in the complete collection, you're getting the A7 and the A5 blocks. Now, 20% of the complete collection has now gone, and we've got a deep stock here for you. It's only 10 minutes in. Do check out your basket. So remember, 5 and 5 carried over. That's £10 plus a further £13. So you're talking £23 saving. And then you've got this on 3 flexi-buy payments. Which is £38.95. They're 3 £38.95 instalments. Item number is 899013. Not only that, we have also a happy hour deal for you. Here we go. This matches perfectly with the stencils, and you've got a £6 saving only up until the end of the hour, so you've got about 50 minutes to get it. So do you know what? If you want to get the complete collection, which most of you are, that opens up your flexi-buy basket, so you're only paying, what is it, £3.33 for your first instalment on this happy hour deal. Win-win chicken dinner, or whatever it is. 185912 is your item number. Without further ado, then, I'm going to hand over to Tracy, but what I'd say is, check out your baskets now, then you can sit back, relax and watch Tracy's demos. Here we go.
Thanks, Alex.
Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to take a couple of seconds just to look at this journal page. I don't want you to think that your stamps are just usable with cards. They're perfect with scrapbook layouts, journals, etc. And what I wanted to show is the new release, which is the clocks here, also work with the previous releases. So this is a border stamp, and the border stamps are actually on a pick and mix. So if there's some stamps that you haven't got, there's actually a good deal on the pick and mixes during the next 5 hours. So this just shows, I just wanted to show you that you don't just have to create cards with your stamps. Yeah. Just move that on one side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this card this hour. Cool. And everybody knows that I love sort of grungy, and I love layers, so this just sort of is me off to a T. I love bright colours as well, but this is my first love.
Love that.
So what we're going to do is we're going to use Absy's stencil first. Okay. And this, do you know, I keep getting them mixed up between crosses and pluses. This is the crosses.
I know. I mean, like, Katie's just said that in my ear as well.
I'm going to get them wrong. I just know I am.
Don't you worry.
So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add, let's just mention the colours. I'm using Mermaid Lagoon, just as my first layer. And this is a very strong colour. And then I'm going to use the Vintage Photo. Cool. And these are Distress Oxides. It wouldn't matter if it was Distress Oxides or Distress Inks. That's just your choice. Just remember that the Distress Inks are translucent and not opaque. Right. And I'm just going to give that a wipe, just so that we don't get in a mess.
You're so good at being clean.
Oh, I have to be, or else my cards will end up in a complete mess. So what I'm going to do then is just spritz the stencil. Just give it a good spritz with water. If you don't spritz it with enough water, you won't get enough of a print. Okay. But then again, if you want it nice and delicate, Janet likes it to be delicate in the background, then obviously add less water. I want something a little bit more powerful in the background. So I'm just allowing that to sit on the background, just using my kitchen roll just to mop up the excess. And then we can just take that off. And it just gives you a beautiful background. And then in true Leonie fashion, we don't want to waste. I can hear her now in my ear. Yeah. So we don't want to waste that print. So you can just do a second generation print. And I always think it's important when you're doing demos, it is for me anyway, we all demo differently. But for me, it's just important to go through detail of every step. Yep. That's just the way I work. So I'm just adding that second And then you've got still a beautiful second generation, which I can use for another card.
Quick stock update, if I may.
Yes.
Here we go. So we are almost a quarter of the stock gone on the complete collection. We're only quarter of an hour in. Hey, it's going minute by minute by minute. There you go.
Oh, thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate it. So what I've got here, this is what takes the longest when you're prepping for shows. It's actually the steps that you have to stamp out.
Yeah.
Now, I need this to be dry. Now, I could stand here and heat it with my heat tool,
sure,
but I just thought I'd have one ready. That's the only difference. Now, as you can see, this one is a little bit stronger than that one.
Yes.
It doesn't really matter. That would actually probably work better because you'll see more of the crosses in the background, but I never class anything as a failure. So we're going to use the one that we've got.
Okay.
Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, let's get the stamp, come on Tracy. So I'm going to use the A4 stamp set, Clocks and Flowers, and I'm going to use this image here. And I just think this is a fantastic background. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my VersaFine Claire, I've even put on it's new and the date.
Ooh.
Just how organised is that?
You are so good. I like it. I love organisation.
So what I'm doing is before I actually stamp anything, when I was first doing this, I was going to put it straight in the middle because that would make a nice card just with the flower on the top.
Yeah.
But then I thought, no, I want to change it just so this stamp, I want to show you that it doesn't have to be that shape.
Right.
It doesn't have to be stamped in that way. So I'm just seeing which areas I want to stamp. So I'm going to ink. Always ink up more than you're perhaps going to use because then you won't miss any inking. And always add layers of ink with a patting motion just to your stamp, just to make sure you've got a good even layer of that ink. Don't be rushed when you're doing your stamping. You're meant to enjoy the process and not rush it too much. And if you get a little bit of overstamping, just wipe that off so that you don't get in a mess. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a touch of this stamping just on the edge here, just like so. And what I'm doing is I'm showing that you don't have to use the whole image, you can use part of the image. And I've just loved using these clocks, absolutely love them. And you can see that you've got part of the image there.
Yeah.
And it's always better to ink more than you're going to use when you're doing part stamping like this.
Okay.
Because if you don't ink more than you're going to use, you end up missing bits.
Right.
So again, I'm going to ink the stamp again. And as I always say, even though I'm on live TV, I still make sure that I've got a good layer of ink. And while you're working, remember to leave your ink pad upside down. That will extend the life of your ink pad.
Oh, that's a good tip.
And what I'm going to do now is use the other half of the stamp.
Sure.
So you can move it around and see where you want it. And I'm always thinking about the aesthetics. I'm always thinking about the composition while I'm doing this. I'm also always thinking about open space. And I'm always thinking, yes, I like layers, but I don't like to overclutter those layers. I still like to leave some open space. Open space doesn't have to be white space all the time. It can just be open space, whether it's coloured open space, black open space, as long as it's got some open element. So I'm just lifting that acrylic block. I'm using the A5 acrylic block, and I've got that flexibility, and that just gives me a beautiful background.
Yeah.
And what you can see, let me just move this out of the way. What you can see is that because you've got those stars in the background, those stars are acting to draw your eye into the background, even something as subtle as that. What you need to do then is just give your ink a blot. Because that ink's got a good open time, and which means it stays wetter longer, just give it a blot, especially if you're not going to dry with a heat tool, just to make sure you're not going to smudge that image. You just want to make sure you're not going to smudge it.
Cool.
Then we're going to take the other stamp on the A4 stamp set. I'll just bring in the stamp set. Well, you can't see it because the label's straight over it. That's perfect, isn't it? So I'm going to use this flower here.
Sure.
And I'm going to use the border stamp for this. Now, what I tend to do, depending on the size of the stamp, I've got a lovely hair on there, which is off me, because I molt worse than my little pugs do. So what I've got here is, when I'm using the acrylic blocks, depending on the size of the stamp, I always use an acrylic block that's a little bit bigger.
Okay.
Because it means I can flex it.
Yes.
If it fills up the whole acrylic block, I've got nowhere to flex it.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I always do that.
Cool.
What we're going to do then is we're going to use VersaFine Clair, we're going to use Warm Breeze and Pine Cone.
Lovely.
And I forgot to mention the size of the card, which is 3.5 inches by 8 inches.
Right.
So it's like a DL card. And what I'm going to do is start with the lightest colour first, which in this case is Warm Breeze. So I'm just inking with Warm Breeze, and then I'm just going to use the VersaFine Clair Pine Cone, and I'm just adding touches here and there. Just make sure you go light to dark, just stops too much contamination. And then I'm just going to stamp the flower. And again, because I've used an acrylic block that's just slightly bigger than my stamp, it means that I can flex.
Yeah.
It means I can flex the acrylic block.
Yes.
And you've got a beautiful image.
I like
just
those
think
colours.
that, I know. And
Yeah.
it just, even that image, because that's what I was saying about the varying sizes. The varying sizes of the stamps allow you to have composition when you've got different sizes. If everything's all the same size, you can't create depth, and the composition becomes harder.
It's nice that that's a silhouette stamp as well, because if you're not confident with colouring, the inks have done it for you.
Yes, and also, like I mentioned in previous shows, if you wanted to do the kiss technique, where you add another stamp on top, like a background stamp, you can then get a totally different image as well.
Cool.
So what I've done here is I've cut out the flower with a white edge. I don't always add a white edge, but the reason I've added a white edge this time is when I've done my background, this is going to pop more.
Yeah.
But for me, when I was creating this card, it was still a little bit too stark for me. So I wanted to add some more layers. So what I've got is I've got 2 circles here, around about 1 3/4 inches, because I know somebody will ask me. And what I'm going to do is use that black ink, and I'm going to ink up one of the clocks. So I've just cut out the circles. You can just draw around something, no problem at all, if you haven't got a die. And I'm just going to add the clock image to the circles. Now, imagine if you've got some little clock hands, if like me, you actually buy vintage clock hands. Imagine using that and adding it to the centre of your clock.
Oh, okay.
It will then give you a different element, some more different detail to your clock. So we've just got a clock image there, and I'm going to wipe up each time, just so that I don't get in too much of a mess. And I just want to use the same clock again, just to add to the circle.
Cool.
She says, I can't pick the acrylic block up.
It's all good.
I always do that when it gets wet underneath. I can't pick the acrylic block up. So I'm just going to add that clock just there.
Perfect size.
And you could add any clock. You could add 2 parts of a clock. It doesn't have to be that one.
Yep.
And what I like about this clock image is it's also got a couple of little sentiments in there. So it's got minute by minute.
Oh, yes.
And make every second count. So again, it just extends that stamp. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring in these clocks.
Right.
This is going to give me some dimension. Now, I don't want to put them on 3D foam because I'm going to make them stand out a little bit more anyway. So we're just going to adhere those. And I don't want to cover this image up too much. I want to be able to still see the clocks underneath. Just adhere this one. I can't believe how warm I am, Alex. My face is getting red by the minute.
Oh, bless you.
It's been a woman of a certain age, I think. Phew. Right, so I'm just going to add that there. And then what I'm going to do is I often say, you know, use your Inktense pencil, your grey Inktense pencil to add a little bit of definition. But what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to add a brown, because I'm going to add more brown to this card later. So I'm just adding the brown. So I'm just drawing around with my Inktense pencil. Just going around, just simply drawing around, or I nearly flicked it down on the floor. That's what happens, you see, when you get a professional. Just make sure that your pencil, and then just blend this out.
Yep.
And you're just doing this just so that it sort of blends out. Just so you, and I'm just doing it every step as I did at home before adding anything else.
Yep.
So I started like this. I've got this little hair following me around. So I'm just adding a little bit of depth.
Cool.
And it's still not enough yet. We still need to add more depth. So just adding that. Now what I want to do is bring a little bit more colour. a little bit more of a vintage element to it.
Yeah.
And what I like to do, excuse me, reaching for kitchen roll.
No worries.
I just, when I'm inking, it's just a habit that I get into. So I'm using vintage photo, and I like to use a piece of kitchen roll, just so that I'm not resting my hands on the card. It just means that I'm not going to make any marks. It still happens, but it's less, you know, it's less possible when you sort of use a piece of kitchen roll. So I'm just going around just to add like this.
Makes it look very vintagey.
Yes, and it just finishes it up. And if you like it, you just want it, you know, clean and fresh, you can leave it clean and fresh. But I love to just change it up a little level. Now what I'm going to do, Alex, I'm going to wipe this first. And I'm just going to spritz this with water, just to vintage it up a little bit more. So what I just need to do, Alex, I don't know whether you've got something to update.
Yes,
I just need to dry
Yep.
that for a little bit.
Lovely. So this is now your time. If you haven't already, please pop this into your baskets. A quarter of the stock of the full collection has now gone. It's only the first live hour. We're only 25 minutes into the first live hour. Now what I'm going to do, however, is just break it down in case you are just joining us. So we've got the one-day special, which consists of all of these beautiful stamps. I'm going to show you them. So the first big A4 stamp here. This is just beautiful, isn't it? Have a little look at this. So what you've got are the clocks and the flowers. What a lovely combination. I love this flower that Tracy's just used. And then you can see the clocks. There's always those lovely splats that are there. We've got a badger at the bottom. There's so much detail in these wonderful stamps. There really is. So that's one component, your A4 stamp set. Then we go on to our key botanicals. So here we go. We've got the key with the butterfly wings. We've got our beautiful florals. We've got the squirrel. We've got, I love him, lovely scraggy hedgehog with a nice little smile on his face. And of course, you've got some sentiments as well. Essence of nature, which I adore. Then moving along. Here we go, and there's lots of sentiments in this one. It would help if I held it the right way, at least. Well, actually this way up and then the violet, whichever way. You're going to see anyway, you've got the violet and you've got lots of sentiments. Let's turn it this way so we can, you've got the days of the week, etc. You've got garden calendar, you've got journal, that's all in there. Weekly, monthly, so this could be good for your planners. Then we move on to our frosty with our penguins. And they're so cute. But like Tracy was saying, not just for your winter cards, there's all sorts of different options that you've got. Could be family cards. There we go. There's our penguins. That's the other one. And again, you've got some lovely sentiments. Brr, hugs. Me and you. Love that. And then, last but not least, we have got our falling blossom. Let's just show you this one. There we go. Just hold it the right way. So there we go, that's our falling blossom. Now, if you do want to go for the one-day special itself, a third of the stock has gone. It's £67.94. You've got a £5 saving, and that will carry over to the complete collection. Then, if you do just want the stencils on its own, again, no problem, we've got that for you. You've got your, hang on, crosses and pluses. I really had to. Oh no, your crosses and your pluses. Yes, that's right. So you've got your A4 and you've got your 6x6 plus either side. You have got the stamps as well. Oh, Chris has just said so. I know, I've been thinking this. We've now got to watch the word clocks and pluses. Right, so if you want to go for the stencils, 2 payments of £23.47, 442,144. But if you want to go for all of it, the one-day special and the stencils, you'll also get, excuse me, as a little bonus, you've got the A7 block and you've got the A5 block. And so not just a £13 saving, but you get a £5 from the one-day special and a £5 from the stencils that carries over. Now, a quarter of the stock of the complete collection has now gone, so please do check out your baskets. I'm just dipping down for some more samples here. Excellent, here we go. Oh, this is so cute. Look at this penguin, and he's holding in his beak A little ball to put on the tree.
And have you seen where the tree's from? That's a Janet Klein.
Oh, is it? Fabulous, yes. No, that's from the monthly mega deal, right?
That's from the Weekend Wow.
Oh, sorry, that one.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. Or is it?
No, you are right, you are right.
You sure?
Yes. We'll be with Janet as well, so don't worry. So that's by Philippa. And then we've got, oh, isn't this a lovely book? This opens up.
I know, it's a lovely idea. But if you got, with the violet, you could use the days of the week.
Yeah.
So then you could create your own garden journal.
That's so nice. That's by Philippa. And then we've got another one here. This is also by Philippa.
So that's a paper cast in the background.
Oh,
so you can use your stamps to do a paper cast.
That's amazing. Let's go back to our penguins. One moment. Here we go. This one is also by Philippa. And she's using a bit of everything there, isn't she?
Yes, she's got the stencils in the background. She's added some detail in the black areas, like I've done when you've got like a silhouette stamp. She's added another detail from another stamp or stencil just to add detail in there.
Lovely. And then this one is by Debbie. See, that's completely different, isn't it? Lovely warm tones.
Yeah, exactly. And that shows exactly how that stamp works with part one.
Oh, great stuff. Yes. Because remember, this today is autumn part 2, but you can actually get autumn part 1 if you want to. This one is by Philippa. Here's another one, and that's quite grungy, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. But again, monochromatic. It doesn't have to be all colour.
No.
You know, some people just like monochromatic, and that shows to perfection just the varying styles.
It's lovely. Badger in the dark.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. This one is by Jo Rice. Completely different style.
But that's what I like best about the design team, the fact that they do bring different styles to the team.
Yep. And this one is by Janet. There we are. Oh, love the border she's done as well.
So that shows that the stamp has been used and it's shown in a bold way in the background. But you can pare it back and make it more subtle if you want.
Excellent. Last one then. This is also by Jo Rice.
And Jo's echoed the colour there from the flower into the ribbon. Yeah. And a little bit into the splatter as well. So that works perfectly. And then dragging the ink pad down in the background.
Stunning. So we are super busy. Please do check out your baskets, and then, like I said, you can chill out, relax and watch Tracy's demos over the course of the next 24 hours. It's not just a £13 saving, it is in fact a £23 saving with the savings carried over. You can spread the cost 3 ways, and don't forget, as a little bonus, not just the stamps, not just the stencils and the other stamps, but also you have got, sorry Chris, also, you have got the, it's like zoom. You've also got the acrylic blocks, the A7 and the A5, which are perfect for all of these stamps in the complete collection. Lovely jubbly. Now, we do have a happy hour. You've got less than half an hour remaining to get this deal, and it works absolutely perfectly with this complete collection. You've got a £6 saving, but obviously, if you're going for the complete collection, your flexi buy basket opens up and you're only going to pay a third of that price on the first instalment. 185912 is your item number. Fastest way is to go to thecraftstore.com, our website, to check out, because we have still got long queues on the phone lines. Over to you, Tracy.
Thanks, Alex. Sometimes it's just important just to dry things, just so you can do. The reason for that is because the next technique, I need to make sure it's dry. I'm using an anti-static bag, just so that my embossing powder won't stick here, there and everywhere. Right. Really, if you're doing it properly, you should let the card dry naturally. Okay. You shouldn't really be rushing it like this. What I'm going to be doing next is I'm going to be using my Follow Your Own Path A5 stamp set, and this is in the pick and mix. And I'm going to be using this text stamp here, mainly because I can't stop using it, let's just be honest. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Versamark ink. When I was creating this card, I actually got to this stage and then I walked away. Sometimes I have to walk away. I know it needs something more, but sometimes I'm not always sure what the next step is going to be. Yeah. So I sometimes do have to walk away. What I need to do now is, because you can't see absolutely anything there. Right. So what I do is, when I'm doing something like this, I just scatter the embossing powder bit by bit. Now, are you going to be heating this? I am. So, is it all right if I mention the pick and mix just while you're... Of course, yes. I'm going to carry on just adding a bit more gold. I didn't realise, Tracy, that there is a £21 saving on the pick and mix. 21? Apparently, that's what it says on the screen. You're picking any two... I wasn't told that bit. Well, it's everybody's luck at home then. So you're picking any two
for £17.97. There are so many for you to choose from. So please do, again, check that out and add it into the complete collection. Well, I don't know if there's been a mistake, but hey, just pop it in your baskets as well. But there's loads there for you. Thank you very much. Back to you then, Tracy.
Thank you. So I'm just adding, it's a little bit more time consuming, Alex, but because I can't see where I'm stamping, I don't want to over stamp. So can you see I've just added 3 here?
Yep.
Sorry, I just has moved that there.
That's all right.
So you can see I've just added 3 there. Now I want to add a little bit more just to give me some balance. So
Sure.
I'm just adding a little touch here. And you don't have to press too hard. And I just want to add another little touch. Now this little gold touch really brings the design to life. It gives it a little opulent touch. So just bring this in so you can see what I'm doing.
Yep.
I seem to use more and more desk as the hours
all
go
right.
on. I always think I've got a huge desk space and then still end up using more than I absolutely need. So we're going to heat this now.
My favourite bit.
So you just need to make sure that your heat tool is heated up. Look at that, that's a perfect camera angle.
There
So
you go.
you
Oh, Chris will be happy.
That is, it's perfect. So you just need to heat your heat tool up because there's no point wafting it over your project when the heat tool is not heated up.
Yeah.
And I'll see if I can just tilt it a bit because sometimes it can be a bit difficult to see it changing. Just take a couple of seconds because I don't have one of these high-powered heat tools, mainly because this heat tool suits me. I don't like something too blowy and too powerful.
Yeah.
So you can see that just going now. And what I love about this is you can still see Absy's crosses in the background.
Indeed.
So we just heat this up. Remember to move your heat tool. We have to remember we've got beginners watching the show. They may have never done any embossing. So just remember when you're embossing, just to move your heat tool around. When it starts to turn, move your heat tool.
Yeah.
Don't leave it in that position because it will just go back to being flat again.
Cool. I mean, talking about beginners, because I learned live on air when this
did
channel
you?
launched. Yeah, I'd never seen it before.
Oh.
Never seen it before, and it just blew me away. But you're right, we get new people tuning in all the time.
And you should never take for granted
Yeah.
that, you know, somebody new isn't watching.
We are now almost 30% of the complete collection gone. So please be quick because we have a very deep stock and it's already nearly 30% gone. Right, over to you then.
So what I'm doing now, Alex, is I'm adding this blue flower because that pop of blue makes the design sing. It does for me. It's what makes me happy because that pop of blue makes it sing a little bit more. So what I'm going to do now is add a little bit of the sentiment. So on this big stamp,
Yep.
I keep looking for scraps of card. I've got more scraps of card lying around everywhere. So what I've got is I've got the sentiment in here that says, make every second count.
Right.
So we're just going to stamp that so that we've got that. And don't worry, I have cut this out, so we won't waste time cutting out. So we've got make every second count. And then everybody who knows me now knows that I have to have a Blackbird.
Aww.
So I'm using my A5 stamp set, the Blackbird stamp set.
Are they your favourite birds?
Do you know, Blackbirds aren't actually all black. They're actually more than black.
Are they like bluey black?
You can get like blues and purples and yeah,
Ooh,
honestly,
I
it's
like that.
surprising what colours are actually in Blackbird's feathers. So it is surprising. So just going to ink those up and just stamp the Blackbirds. I have got all these cut out, so we're not waiting. But I think it's nice just to see the images.
How they stamp, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when people are spending money on stamps, I think it's important that you see them stamped out.
Cool. Blackbirds are in the pick and mix. That one that I just told you has £21 off. I just checked it on my notes and I was like...
Did you think
it
you said
is.
the wrong thing?
No, yeah, I just for a second, but no, I've checked it.
So what
Okay.
we've got is we've got this make every second count, just a little bit of a sentiment, and I'm going to add this here, and this will also act like a little perch for my bird. So I just want to make that sentiment just pop a little bit more because at the moment it's getting lost in the background.
Right.
And what you would do at home, you would let everything dry. I repeat myself over and over again, but as a demonstrator, I just think it's important to repeat these steps.
Yeah.
and we all get a different amount of projects done in a show. We all work at different levels, but for me, it's always important to show every stage. So I'm just adding that just to make it pop a little bit more, just so it stands out a little bit more. Then we're going to add that little blackbird. Now that's going to irritate me because it's not black around the outer edge. So just colour around your blackbird, and we'll just add that to here. I just love, I can't stop using this blackbird because it just perches perfectly just on the card. And then what I've done is I've created a mat that's just 1/4 inch bigger. So the card was 3.5 inches by 8 inches. So I've just added 1/4 inch. If you don't want to add 1/4 inch, you can make it a little bit less. Entirely up to you. And I always like to hover over my card just to make sure that I've got it laid. It's just important. It's just one of the, I'm just a bit pernickety when it comes to laying the layers, just to make sure it looks right. And then we've got a card blank, which is 4 inches by 8.5. And I just give the measurements because I know a lot of ladies, if they want to make the card tomorrow or tonight, then they've got the measurements. And I just make this card out of a piece of A3 card. Oh, I've just moved my blackbird, poor thing. So just add that there. And then I'm just going to add some splatters of white pen. Of course, the white pen is not the one that works. Well, wouldn't you know it? It's always the one that doesn't work. So just add some splatters. You don't need to add many. And if I turn that round, you can see the gold just on the card.
That is absolutely stunning.
And I've now made the cameras go absolutely mental.
Don't worry.
Sorry about that. But I just love how that looks.
Do you want to give it a wiggle so we can see the emboss?
Yeah, of course you can.
As in, to camera one.
To camera one.
Yeah, backwards and forwards would be great.
There we go.
That's amazing.
Anybody thinks she was a professional.
It's all good, it's all good. Thank you, Tracy.
Brilliant, thanks, Alex.
Do you reckon we can fit another one in?
Yes, we're going to have a go. Yes, absolutely.
Excellent. Now, you can, of course, get the one-day special. You can get the stencils, but the majority of you, of course, are going for the complete collection because that's where your saving is, and everything goes together beautifully. So you've got your, I mean, we're just looking at some samples here, which is lovely. Now, in the complete collection, you're treated to these two acrylic blocks, the A7 and the A5. You can only get those in the complete collection. Then we move on to our stencils. You've got your A4s, your 6x6s, and then you've got your 2 stamps either side of the crosses and pluses. And then we move on to the beautiful one-day special stamps. So these are the Autumn Collection Part 2. You can find Part 1 of the Autumn Collection on the website, but if you've already got that, you want to extend your collection, then this is perfect. And as Tracy said, she drew the whole thing together for you. More samples. I have to duck under here, so do excuse my floating head. Here we go.
My head's always floating in.
Lovely. I'm going back to this one again because I just love this. It's so pretty. What a lovely little Christmas decoration this is.
But if you were having a natural tree, just with pine cones and things like that, wouldn't that look fab?
I think that would look absolutely beautiful. Few more of your penguins. So like you said, this could be, you know, a whole family celebration, or it could be an invite for somebody. I think that's brilliant. And then this, I should just say that one's by Debbie, and the previous one was Joe Rice. This one is by Janet. Lovely pop there from the crosses.
Yeah, doesn't that look fab?
Yeah, love that. Or the pluses, I have to really think about it.
I can't get everything right.
The pluses, and then that beautiful flower. It's just, that's lovely in the monochrome, isn't it?
Yeah, you see, I wanted a flower that stood bold, but it was a bit more open in the centre. But I think that flower is so strong on its own.
Yeah.
You don't even have to have anything else on the card.
Right, love that.
I just love it.
This one is also by Debbie. Again, look at that pop of colour. I think that's absolutely beautiful. Let's bring in our lovely penguins here. That is by Joe Elliott. And this is just stunning by Janet. It's just so clean and elegant, isn't it? And then we'll do one more here. This one is by Philippa. Stunning, just stunning with that focal point and then the sentiments down the side. As I've been saying, not just a £13 saving, but you get the £5 and the £5 from each of the individual collections. So in the end, it's £23 off, and it's on 3 flexi-buy payments of £38.95. Have a look on the website because, of course, you can shop by brand. You can go to AALL Create. Don't forget that pick and mix either. £21 off, can't get over that, but just take advantage of these deals. And of course, if you're getting the complete collection, your flexi-buy basket opens up for you. Now, we've actually got 3 pick and mixes. We've got the A5 pick and mix, 5-star reviews. Now, you've got the border pick and mix, picking any 3 there. And that's £19.97 with a massive saving. Or you can go for the A6, choosing any 3, and that's £17.97. Again, look how much you're saving on each of those collections, and all of them have got 5-star reviews. So do, after this show is finished, you know, check out your baskets, have a little look and see what else you would like. Lovely. Okay, we've got about 10-ish minutes.
Alex.
Cool.
What I want to do is, before we do this, I've just had to give the stamp a little bit of a clean.
Sure.
Mainly because I want to show you that the flower doesn't have to be stamped in black.
Okay.
Because we don't just want to be a one-trick pony, we want to have lots of ways of using the stamp.
Yep.
So what I'm doing is I'm using shaded lilac
Okay.
over my stamp. So the lightest colour first. Then I'm using broken china. And these again, my distress oxides. And then I'm using wilted violet,
Right.
which is a bit of a stronger colour, so don't overpower your stamp too much with the wilted violet. And then what we're going to do is we're going to spritz the stamp with water.
Okay.
And you're just going to give it a light mist, not too much, just one light mist. And what I've got here is another piece of card, DL size, as previous. And what I'm going to do is just stamp this, and I've placed a piece of low-tack tape across the bottom, and you will see why afterwards. So I'm just going to place that on there.
Okay.
And just allow that to sit. So I'm just hoping I caught that with the spritzer. Sometimes when you're in the studios you don't quite hit it because you've got so much room in the studios, you hold your hand a mile out. So it's just, you just need to give it a light spritz. And you can see I've not spritzed it enough here. Not to worry. But we'll just give it another spritz on another piece of card. Let's see if we can get a 2nd generation print. Let's see if we can just get a 2nd generation print.
Lovely.
That will
I like
help.
the first one. I thought that was fabulous.
I wanted it a little bit darker, to be honest, Alex.
Yeah.
I wanted it a little bit darker, but that's not a problem. But obviously when you're at home, you see, I'm sitting on top of myself. So I spritz the water and it all hits the stamp. When you're in the studios, you've got a little bit more space. And that gives you your 2nd generation.
Lovely
see that?
silhouette. Yeah, I like that.
So what I'm just going to do is just grab another piece of card, because I won't be happy unless it's completely right. Because when you're doing your demonstrations, you have to show it working and not working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just ink it again, just with my broken china, because what I'm thinking is the shaded lilac is a little bit light and might not be showing up enough.
Okay.
I don't like to turn away from something that doesn't work.
Understood.
I just like to make sure that you get that. And I think this will work a little bit better just because the colour is a little bit darker. That's better.
Oh, lush.
So I'll tell you where that went wrong.
Okay.
So when I did my first demo, when I did my card at home, I obviously didn't use shaded lilac.
Right.
I obviously just used the broken china and the wilted violet.
Right.
So I've obviously added the shaded lilac, and it's too light a base layer.
Got you.
And because the base layer is too light, it doesn't show up enough.
Okay.
So that's why. So what I'm going to do then is use the background stamp. But first of all, I'm going to use this stencil, which is the numerator stencil. I think it's 104.
Gosh.
So it should be on the show.
You don't know all the numbers, do you?
No, that was just luck. No, I don't know all the numbers, of course I don't.
3020, you know.
No, absolutely not. So what I'm going to do is I've got a touch of ink just on here, And I'm just going to add some stenciling very delicately in the background. Just at the top, can you see? It works beautifully.
Yep.
And it just pushes that flower into the background.
Yep.
Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the little background stamp from the Toucan stamp set. And I'm going to ink that up with my wilted violet. I couldn't think whether that was the right name then. With my wilted violet ink. And I'm going to have this here, just so that I've got both, the pale one and the dark one. So I'm going to have the darker stamped image there.
Nice.
And the second generation here. So I've got first generation, second generation. And I'm going to repeat the same again. Because I don't want to waste this, because that's actually beautiful. So I'm then going to add a little bit of stamping here, first generation, and then add this a little bit different on the second card with second generation. Take it again. This background stamp, I just find it such a useful stamp.
Yeah.
Now I've got this stamped here. I want to bring a little bit of balance here.
Okay.
So I'm just going to bring a little bit of balance there with the first generation stamping and the second generation stamping here. Like so.
Yep.
So you're making 2 cards for the price of 1.
Nice.
How many minutes have I got left, please, Alex?
You've got maybe, let's say 5.
Okay. What I'm going to do then, where this low tack tape is, I'm just going to blend. I've done this technique for many years. Just mask off certain areas so
like
that you
that.
leave a little open area.
I love that white space.
I love white space.
Yeah.
But what I want to show you is you can get 2 different effects.
Okay.
So we just take that off. She says there's no bit. Oh, it's there.
Oh, it's there.
Right in front of me. Just take that off. And then what I want to do is I want to take, let's hope, the stamp set, which is Bring On the Sentiments. And there's lots of sentiments in here. Again, another A5 stamp set. I get in such a mess. I end up with stamps everywhere. I said to Janet, oh, I'll stay tidy. Not a chance. So be bold, be brave, be you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use my black VersaFine Clair ink. And we're going to stamp that in the opening that we've left. Like so.
Oh,
There's
lovely.
one.
Perfect size.
And you don't have to press too hard on the sentiments. They don't need you to press too hard. They're just stamp there. Then we've got the washes. The washes are actually supposed to be in the shows. I know Janet had them, but the washes are supposed to be in the shows as well. So this is Cut, Tear and Layer.
Okay, they'll be on the website,
yeah.
these. Yeah.
They're on offer as well. Was it something like £9.95 for 5?
Oh, I'm not sure. We'll have to have a
Yeah.
look on the website.
They're
for
on
that
offer
one.
as well. So what I'm going to do is just tear my Cut, Tear and Layer washi. Just add a little touch there.
Oh, I
Little
like that.
touch. We need to bring a little bit more black, and I'll explain why. So what we've got now is just plunk that on the table. What we've got now is we've got this black here. We've got a bit of black in here.
Yeah.
So I want to just bring a little bit of bolder black. Where's my washi tape gone? Why do you always...
Just in
there
front
it
there.
is.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the thing is, you have so much product out,
I know.
you can't see for looking. And what I'm going to do is just take a little bit of this washi and just add a touch of the black. Like so. Do exactly the same to this one. This just adds a textural layer
Yeah.
without overpowering my background. So then, take a little bit of washi. Let's do it so that we can actually read the words. No, that will irritate me because it's not straight.
Okay.
Not that I'm very pernickety at all. So add a little bit there.
Yep.
How's time, Alex?
You have got 3 minutes.
Oh, I can breathe.
Of course you can.
So I'm just going to add a little bit across there.
Yeah.
like so. And then on one of them, we'll add the little blackbird. Let's just press that down. So I wasn't planning on making the 2 cards, it just seems a shame to waste.
No, it's great that you're doing that. I love a twofer.
Just looking for my wipes. Then just add the little, I nearly called this a frog then.
Frog.
Don't ask me where that came from.
It's all right.
This blackbird, just like so. And then I'm going to take some Enamel Accents. And just before I go to the card, I just want to make sure that they're working okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to add, sorry, I have to get my head down there.
That's all right. You're not in shot anyway, as in like on the overhead.
Normally
you're all
my
right.
big mop of hair is somewhere in the way.
You have beautiful hair, I always tell you
it's
that.
a right mop. So we're just going to just make sure that doesn't, you just make sure it's flowing before you add anything. Just add your 3. I've got all my lids mixed up. And then, if you bring your card in, the only thing I've added differently to the card is that we've added the index clip.
Ah, that's beautiful. Absolutely stunning that. And perfect timing, can I say, Tracy?
Brilliant.
Nice. 3 demos in. Boom. Thank you. Right then, one last look for now at the complete collection. You can get your one-day special, which consists of these stamps. Now, half the stock of the official one-day special has now gone. So very quickly, we'll pop those details onto the screen. You get a £5 saving on that, which carries over. You can also get the stencils individually with the other stamps, the pluses and crosses. That has a £5 saving that carries over. So we're talking £10 savings, and then added on, you get a further £13 savings on the complete collection. And as a little addition, you've also got your acrylic blocks of the A7 and your A5. So it's a £23 saving in total. You can also spread the cost not 2 ways but 3 ways, so hopefully that makes it as affordable as possible to you. 3 payments of £38.95, and we send it out to you once you've paid that first instalment, so you can play before you pay. That's what we like. 899013. Thank you very much, Tracy.
Thanks, Alex. Thank you very much, everybody.
So you'll be with Richard at 8 o'clock.
Yep.
Make sure you tell him about the pluses and the clocks. Yes, yes, yes. Right, I'm so glad I said that right. All right, don't go anywhere. We've got more coming up after this short break. Stay tuned.